How you going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, I've got the passenger door on the Coupe and just doing a little bit of trial fitting, you know, just to see where this guard needs to be placed as far as the sill goes. Now, by no means is this final. Obviously the gaps still need a fair bit of work, fair bit of adjusting. At the moment I think the door needs to probably come up a little bit at the front, just drop slightly at the back, but I'm not worried about that just at the moment. The main thing I wanted to work out was whether this guard needed to move or not. So I've pretty much got it in the position I need to have it in, which is located, you know, whether it needs to go forward or backwards. Now, as it turns out, I needed to actually fold that lip that I folded over in the last episode. I needed to fold it a little bit more, so I sort of took it off. I worked it a little bit more. I probably got the guard down about another 3 mil, I'd say it's fairly right there now. And as you can see, I've put the outer sill cap on, so pretty much got it where I want. So now what I'm going to be working on in this episode is going about constructing the front of the sill. Just bring the camera down here, just in here. So just like I showed on the driver's side, I'm going to have to construct this area. Yeah, so now I'm happy with where the guard is, happy with where the outer sill panel finishes. So we just basically need to fabricate this inner part. So moving right along basically. We'll go around the driver's side, we'll have a look at how that looks with the door on. So again, the door gaps are not they're not perfect yet. Still got a bit of work to do on them. And this guard's only held on by clamps at the front. I don't have any bolts or anything in it, so it's just sitting in a little bit. But you can pretty much get the idea of where we're heading with it. What's the other thing? Oh yeah, I'm going to take it off and see if I can work that shape a little bit with the stretcher. I don't know how I'll go, but we'll give it a shot before we start cutting anything. Yeah, so anyway, that's what we're going to do in this episode. We'll work a little bit more on that passenger side, and hope you enjoy watching. You would remember that when I made this side, I actually made it a little bit too thick and chunky. And so what I've done now is I've narrowed it down, so it's basically, you know, 20 mil or just under 20 mil. But because it was originally made at about 25, 26 or something, I left it that way, and I just simply cut the end off, and I heated up all of this area here and just basically curved it out. So it has a nice sort of like roll out, and then the actual face is like 20 mil. So now I've actually got to recreate my stuff up and my repair. So sometimes the solution ends up turns out better than the original design. So back to square one. So I'm starting with it as though it's 25 mil. So it's got to be there, and I've got to have basically lose a bit off the bottom there. So if I do that, there's nothing too precise about this. It's kind of like, you know, wherever. And in actual fact, that should be pretty close to what I had my vernier set to. Yep. So I'll do that and see what I need for lengthwise. 84-ish. I cut one of these on an angle. When I cut these sills off, See if that's from there. Yep, that's from there. So that's not square. I know that's not square because I angled though. I went up 130 and then went back 3 mils, so it had a slight lean backwards that you probably would hardly be able to see, but I can see because I know it's there. So that's not square. And don't think it matters if it is square or not anyway. I'll stuff it, I'll just square it up anyway, just in case. Okay. A little bit of a flexible straight edge. Like that. Before I cut that, I might just see if it makes any difference that it's curved or not. Not curved, if it's angled. So, because all those welds are behind everything, behave, I don't really need to worry about blenishing or anything at this stage, although I will just clean that edge off. So that's all just kind of tacked, you know. Not that I'm going to be pulling it off. And I'm going to call it a day. And I'll be back in about half a second for you, but about 24 hours for me. Right, so I've cut these rods and as you saw, heated them up and made it a bit easier to bend them. So this is what I was talking about before, about having a solid steel rod there. Get that sort of, it's sort of just half across that edge, and it just gives me a bit of a rounded corner that I can tack the two surfaces to and then fully weld. And more importantly, I can sculpture it with the grinder and the sander to give me a nice round edge. So I'm going to do that one first, and then I'm going to set this other one 20 mil behind it, and then once I have it all tacked in, then I'll be able to heat this plate up and fold it in. So hopefully it goes according to plan. This one does look a little bit short, to be honest with you, so yeah, I might have cut a little bit short that way, but anyway, see how we go. Okay, so where am I at now? All right, I'll tell you where I'm at. So I've got this little cap here just to, to finish off. So this is actually the, what would you call it, inner sill for the Mustang Floorpan. And yeah, so that's pretty much where it was cut off to fit into the car. And the rest of it basically was, a shape that I couldn't use. This little cap here, it's actually from the rear of the Mustang Floorpan. Again, it was an area that I couldn't use, it was cut off, but I just thought I'd sort of chop it down to size and sort of fit it in there. And yeah, that's what I did on the other side. And it fits perfectly. The only thing is, the radius there is, it's actually sharp here, it gets to here and then it sort of flattens out. And then, so obviously mine is sharp like back here. But I tried on the other side mucking around with this, heating it and whatnot, and I didn't really sort of get too far because the fact that it actually starts from back here. So I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to sort of flatten that corner a little bit, weld the whole thing in, and then later on when I'm bodyworking the car, I'll probably just smooth that out with a bit of filler. I mean, it's not really an issue. So I'll go ahead and weld that in. So that wraps up this episode, guys. I've got both sides of that sill fixed up now, and the next bit, I guess, is to work on the rear. But anyway, these front ones look alright. Just spin around, a bit of a look. I've dressed it up a little bit. Maybe I could do a little bit more dressing, but I think for now that's fine. I might even just go over it with one of those hand blasters and just do in those crevices, which are really hard to get to, and then put a coat of epoxy on it. Yeah, so if you were to poke your head inside here, it wouldn't look too bad. Nice little sort of like a curve out. So yeah, that's the same as the other side, about 20mm on that face edge. And yeah, I still have to do something about these guards. Anyway, we'll get on to that next time. And got the sill sitting there. It's not exactly tacked in that well, just a few clecos holding it, but you get the idea. Still got to fix all of this up. Not very happy with how that turned out. That's going to need a bit of work, as does the whole car. There's not one straight bit of panel on this car, but like I've said before, I'm not worried about dents at this stage. I'm just in the fabrication process. I'll fix anything up if it's interfering with the fabrication, but yeah, I pretty much worry about dents pretty much when all fabrication is finished. So I'm more worried about things like gaps, you know. So the only real way for me to fix that is play around with the door a little bit more, get it as close as I possibly can, and yeah, if I've still got issues, then either weld some metal on or cut some metal off. Yeah, so alright, that wraps up this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time. And don't forget, if you want to grab some merch, t-shirts in the description below. Yeah, go and pick yourself up one. Alright guys, see you next time.